Treme is widely recognized as one of the oldest historically Black neighborhoods in the United States, a place shaped profoundly by free people of color, enslaved Africans, and generations of Black and Creole residents. This is not a footnote. This is where a culture learned to stand. The neighborhood grew from land once associated with the Moran plantation. Julie Moreau inherited the property and was married to Claude Tremé, a French-born hatmaker. Beginning in the late 1790s, the Tremés divided and sold portions of the estate. In 1810, the city of New Orleans purchased the remaining tract, laid out streets and lots, and incorporated the faubourg into the city in 1812. The neighborhood's earliest population was a mix, a significant number of free people of color, including Creole residents, alongside European immigrants, including large numbers of refugees from Saint-Domingue following the Haitian Revolution. Many prospered as craftsmen, artists, musicians, entrepreneurs, doctors, and teachers, at a time when that kind of standing was nearly unthinkable elsewhere in the American South. This distinction is worth holding on to. Creole, in this context, is a cultural and historical identity, not a racial category. Tremé's population of free people of color included Creole residents among a broader community shaped by multiple ancestries: African, French, Spanish, indigenous, bound by culture, language, and shared history, rather than by any single bloodline. For generations, Tremé became one of the places where Louisiana Creole culture could be seen, heard, spoken, practiced, and passed from one generation to the next. At the edge of Tremé lies Congo Square, a name that carries weight far beyond its size. Sunday gathering traditions among enslaved Africans and free people of color predated the formal designation of Congo Square and occurred at several locations across the city, along levees, in backyards, on plantations, in remote corners, in other public squares. In 1817, New Orleans restricted authorized dancing and gathering to Sundays before sunset, at a place selected by the mayor, today remembered as Congo Square. It was an act of regulation and surveillance, not a right freely granted. No law guaranteed the people who gathered there any lasting protection. But within that controlled space, something endured. People traded goods, sold food, socialized, drummed, danced, and sustained African-derived cultural practices that stretched back across the Atlantic. Historians widely regard Congo Square as one of the most important cultural foundations in the development of New Orleans music and ultimately, jazz. This wasn't entertainment for outsiders. It was survival carried forward as culture, under conditions built to suppress it. A few blocks away stands St. Augustine Catholic Church. The ground it sits on was once part of the Tremé plantation estate itself. In 1841, with the blessing of New Orleans' first Archbishop, Antoine Blanc, the property became a place of worship built at the request of free people of color. The church was dedicated on October 9, 1842. In the months before that dedication, something remarkable happened. Free people of color began purchasing pews for their families. White parishioners, hearing of it, began buying pews of their own. According to the church's historical tradition, free people of color won what became known as the War of the Pews, purchasing pews at roughly 3 times the rate of white parishioners, and also securing every pew along the side aisles, which they gave over for enslaved worshipers to use. St. Augustine remains an active parish today, not a museum piece, but a living institution, still holding services, still central to the neighborhood's identity. Treme nurtured generations of musicians, brass bands, and funeral procession traditions, practices that turn mourning into a procession of music, moving from somber hymns to celebratory brass as the ceremony continues. Social aid and pleasure clubs, mutual aid societies formed in the late 1800s to support Black community members excluded from white-run insurance and burial services. became the backbone of Treme's second-line parades, a tradition that continues in the neighborhood today. This is Creole and Black New Orleans culture as a living practice, not a historical relic. Not all of Treme's story is preservation. Much of it is loss. Before the mid-1960s, Claiborne Avenue was the commercial heart of Black Treme. A wide, oak-lined boulevard, shaded by hundreds of live oak trees, lined with Black-owned and neighborhood businesses, families living above corner stores and restaurants. In 1950, roughly 120 businesses operated along this corridor. Property acquisition for the Interstate 10 overpass began in the mid-1960s, and construction was largely complete by the end of the decade. The state removed over 200 oak trees. The elevated highway replaced the boulevard that had run beneath it. By the century's end, only a fraction of those original businesses remained. The community has never fully regained its pre-interstate role as the neighborhood's commercial and cultural heart. Gentrification pressure and rising property values in later decades brought further displacement of longtime residents, a pattern that has touched historic Black neighborhoods across the country. And Treme has not been exempt. What remains is a neighborhood still standing on its own history, still home to St. Augustine's bells, still walked by second-line parades, still carrying threads that trace back to Congo Square 2 centuries ago. Treme didn't just witness the birth of a culture. It helped build one, brick by brick, pew by pew, drumbeat by drumbeat. If stories like this one matter to you, like this video, drop a comment and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe. There's a lot more of this history still waiting to be told.